I'm Kat Webster Yoga, and today we're going to talk about a spiritual teacher and a spiritual book that has recently been blowing my mind. It's Lama Yeshe, and before you think, oh, I don't want to hear about another saintly man, this man used to be a womanizing, gambling, drinking, illegal car driving Lama. So stick with me, because this is not about being so holy and serene. This is about being human and honest, and it's incredible. Anyway, I thought we would do this book recommendation to celebrate the Year of the Horse, which is today, the 17th of February. I'm really excited about this year, not just because I renamed myself Horse Webster when I was very young, because I was obsessed with horses, in particular one called Milton, but it's because I'm really excited to see what's going to come after the Year of the Snake, which was a lot about shedding. So here we go. I initially found Lama Yeshe on one of those moments where I was throwing my toys out the pram, so to speak, because I was like, oh, I've read all the good spiritual books, I've done all the good spiritual practices, I'm never going to be inspired again. And I really had that kind of sinking feeling that the best spiritual days were behind me. So I came across him. I can't remember how I came across him, but initially I went to his website, and he gives a lot of free material. And there's a book called Be Your Own Therapist. And I had just begun talking therapy for the first time in my life. So to be your own therapist was really quite, exciting concept to me, because it would mean that I could help myself alongside my therapist. It's a wonderful book. You can download it for free at the Lama Yeshe Foundation. I think it's .org. And basically, it's just going into the power of the mind, which I have always been inspired by. But I still didn't know much about this Lama. So anyway, finally, I was in my hometown, and I went into Waterstones, the bookshop, and this was there, and it's his memoir. And I was like, oh, wonderful, I'm going to read about this monk. And I was just expecting, this beautiful saintly story, but it is so not like that. It is the most inspiring, honest account of what it means to want to grow. So he began the story, he was in Tibet, living with his family. He'd never seen a car, for example, but he began by honestly saying that one of his favourite pastimes was using a catapult to kill animals. Now, in Buddhism, obviously, violence is completely forbidden, but he was just being honest. He was like, I was a little boy and I just love killing animals. And from that moment, you're like, whoa, refreshing honesty. There's no serenity here, it's just honesty. Then his honesty keeps growing. So then he had to move to a monastery to be trained by his brother. And he resented his brother so much. He talks about resentment, anger, all those negative emotions. And then he had to flee Tibet to escape the Chinese. They climbed over the mountains on a wild goose chase for 18 months. Many of their friends just dropped down dead. Many of their friends were shot by the Chinese. It's just so painstaking what they went through, what they could cope with. And then they got to India, and many of the people there that arrived with them died from Indian diseases such as, I can't really remember the names, but dysentery and tuberculosis. So things that they hadn't been used to in Tibet. So not only had they, done this arduous task of escaping, then once they did reach their destination, many of them passed anyway. So, he'd left his mother, his homeland, he lost a brother in India, and then they were sent to Scotland to a monastery. In Scotland, it gets even more juicier. He was already womanizing in India, already gambling, already drinking. But then when they got to the monastery in Scotland, his brother was it was in the 60s and the 70s, and his brother, who was a really beloved monk, was turning it into almost, shall we say, a hippie, drug-taking, orgy kind of free love place. Driving without a license. Yeah, just these stories get more and more wild. And then they went to America. His brother opened a centre somewhere in America, and he himself went to Manhattan. And once they had opened these centres, you know, the free love of the 60s and the 70s just continued. His brother wrote a book about the dangers of spiritual materialism. So even though all these things that he's so honest about, it kind of seems to go against the spiritual world, the spiritual life, there's this deeper teaching of you are a human. Buddhism is based on suffering, and you can't get away from that. And it's built on honesty, and it's built on a story of rising from the ashes, rising from the most painful experiences, and then still being able to come back. So one day Lama Yeshe did hit his rock bottom. But he says, you know, hitting your rock bottom is not like one day you hit it and then you're cured. He says it's just growth takes a while. And then now he goes back to Scotland, and he has a very beautiful monastery, and he is one of the most revered spiritual teachers around, and his books are amazing, and he helps so many people. And I really believe that he helps people because he's experienced all that suffering and all those mistakes, and I just really value his honesty. I think if you kind of think that all these spiritual teachers are all just coming from a perfect place, then how can they really know about the nitty-gritty of life? But if you're interested in reading a book that's very juicy, wild, truthful and incredible, I recommend this to you. From a Mountain in Tibet. It has really been a joy to read, and I am really loving following this teacher, Lama Yeshe. And that's it from me. I am teaching in Spain this Sunday, a sunset flow at 6 o'clock in Las Arenas. I would absolutely love to see you. I do teach often in Spain. If you would like to know more about my classes in Spain, just drop me a message, because we have a private WhatsApp group and I can add you to it. Yeah, so that's it from me, and I'm just sending you all my love. And I guess I would just finish by saying you are a human, and the Buddha nature will always live in you, no matter what. Namaste.